Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Rita Peters. I'm the Senior Vice President for Legislative Affairs with Convention of States. And I want to thank you, Mr. Chair, for saying that. Now I won't feel bad when nobody claps at the end of my testimony. So I think most of us here would agree that there is a problem in this country with federal overreach. And I want to first just briefly address the fact that Article 5 does provide the states with the right remedy to address that problem. Amendments have actually been used for this very purpose before and have been extremely effective. And I'll just give you the 11th Amendment as an example. It was proposed by Congress and ratified by the states specifically to reverse a wrong Supreme Court decision. That was the case of Chisholm versus Georgia that had given the federal courts more jurisdiction than they should have had. So the problem was corrected. The founding generation didn't just sit around and say, they got it wrong, it's all messed up now, what are we going to do? They corrected the problem with a constitutional amendment. And that was the appropriate way to correct it. What we have in this country today is decades upon decades of federal overreach that has been sustained by the federal courts. And it won't be corrected this time through an amendment that's proposed by Congress, because Congress seems to really love having the extra power. So the only way to correct the damage done to the integrity of our Constitution is for the states, for you, to use the power given to you in Article 5. I would also like to address concerns about the Article 5 convention process itself. A lot of people have concerns because they say, well, the details of the convention for proposing amendments are not spelled out in Article 5, so nobody knows how this process will work, and that seems scary. But I'd like to just point out that the term grand jury used in the Constitution is also not spelled out, all the details of how that process works. But it didn't need to be spelled out in detail because it was a well-known process already at the time it was used in the Constitution. And in the same way, we know how interstate conventions work because we have an extremely rich history of interstate conventions in American history for all kinds of purposes. And there has never been a runaway convention throughout all of that history. They have all worked as they were supposed to work, and not one of those interstate conventions that we've witnessed has abused its authority. The states have always defined and limited the purpose for these meetings, referred to as interstate conventions. Voting at them has always been done on a one state, one vote basis, and there is no record of a single one of them ever exceeding its authority. I have a book here I'd like to refer you to. It's called The Law of Article 5, written by Professor Robert Nadelson, and it goes into detail describing not only the rich history we have of interstate conventions, but also the numerous court precedents that have gone into interpreting Article 5 language, and it's always been interpreted according to its history. And third and finally, I would just like to clarify and remind you that state legislatures are the bodies that direct and control the convention. It's important to understand how basic principles of agency law come into play here. At interstate conventions, the commissioners who are chosen to represent their state act as legal agents of their state legislatures, who are the principals of the convention. They're the ones who instruct and send them with written commissions to perform at the convention. They don't just go and do whatever they want. It's kind of like, a real estate agent acting on behalf of a homeowner. That real estate agent doesn't just get to go and sell whatever property of the homeowner he or she wants to, but is limited to what the agent is instructed to do by the principal, in that case, the homeowner. Same principles apply here. Commissioners to the convention are selected by the state legislatures to consider amendment proposals on the topics set forth in the application, and they're given commissions by you all, the state legislatures, setting forth the limitations, the legal limitations of their powers, even within that framework. And then finally, I'll just mention again the ratification bar. It takes 38 states to ratify any amendment proposal that comes out of the convention. That is a very high bar. Thank you for allowing me to be here.